always record this for people who are in first massage. So, yeah, I'm Billy. Been doing this for the last 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I worked here as a trainer for a few years. Had an injury and had to then just focus my full attention on working that out and evolved this whole natural lifestyle protocol that healed me and also applied it to this program here, which is part of the ingredients that just transform things.
I'm trying to remember, you had a really crazy story of what you had, and then you started eating natural food. What was that again?
Well, it was a head injury that triggered seizures, epilepsy.
Yeah.
So that's pretty serious. You kind of just have to put the rest of life on the shelf and do that one. You can't really play around with that one.
Yeah. How often would they come on?
Oh, a dozen times a day.
Oh, goodness.
Oh,
You can't be functional, right? You rendered you dysfunctional.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah, you can't drive, you can't.
Yeah, I had no memory. You have a seizure, you break a shoulder.
You would forget everything immediately? Because for me, I used to have seizures.
Oh, really?
Before I was 18, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it stopped when I was 18.
Good.
Lucky.
Good.
But the short-term memory sort of was gone, like how I got there and why I'm now lying on the sofa. But I did remember what happened before.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't.
What was I talking about?
Yeah.
No, it's great because it was through a very precision-tuned health protocol where food was one of the key elements. I mean, it was the whole lifestyle of rest, sleep, just the right amount of, yes.
See all of you.
Yeah.
Just above your nose.
How's this? Is this good?
I think that would be perfect. To get a shirt and just have them sewn on like that.
I just tore my shirt, but that's okay.
Oh.
That's my muscles
You're on
there.
high frame.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I had to do this precision-tuned health protocol and was just doing everything trial and error, trying different foods, different diets, a blend of different herbs, blue-green algae, superfoods, and was able to just figure out which ones seemed to have the most impact on our body, because the big picture is all these, I know we think of all of this being the core of our health, but what we want to do is get the nutritive support from plant foods that help all of these organs operate on the elite level, which in the end are all taking care of this. The brain is the core of our health. And so I wish I could say my health is 100%, but I am most grateful to say that it's 95%. And it's good in a way, because if I let my health lifestyle get away from me, those symptoms can come back, so it pushes me. And also it continues to teach me what things are most valuable, and then of course the other benefit is it's humbling. So, and now, if and when I do have a seizure, and they happen, the symptoms are so mild that you wouldn't know. I don't fall over and break a shoulder. I basically just have to be still and quiet for about 30 seconds. And if I'm talking, it's not all bad, because people are like, "Are you thinking? What is he gonna say?" So, and it's humbling. Humbling is good. Yeah. So, yeah. So, but it doesn't affect motor sensory, which I'm most grateful for. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
I also lost circulation to my arms. That was another big hurdle. So it's amazing what you can do. I mean, it's not just diet. That's one of the key elements. It was doing just the right amount of exercise, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to pump this oxygen nutrient-rich blood that you create to all of these places where that's the silver bullet. There's no multivitamin, there's no product, nothing. That's the silver bullet. The silver bullet is that oxygen nutrient-rich blood that you create with your lifestyle.
But you lost feelings in your arms, and then that was based on what? On the head injury?
It was a chain of events that, because I was debilitated and couldn't really do much physical activity, muscles atrophied and shoulders rolled forward and pinched nerves and blood flow. So, yeah. Yes, health is good.
What are the keys to this nice eating?
Well,
Anti-inflammatory?
yes, because just naturally there is inflammation when you do this exorbitant amount of hiking. So
Exorbitant is the word.
Yes.
That is the operative word.
But I mean, consider the big picture that you're able to do 65 miles this week, going up and down thousands of vertical feet. Hiking hills is the greatest exercise you can do for weight loss and longevity and everything in between. Because think about it, you're doing cardio and load-bearing exercise all in one. You're lugging your body weight up and down thousands of vertical feet. You're building the leanest muscles in your body. You're even working your core from lifting your knees, going uphill. And you may not necessarily lose weight, but I'm confident everybody's going to lose inches and you're going to look great. You are working hard, and the reason that you sustain that metabolism when you leave is because you built that lean muscle. Cardio, kind of, your metabolism can go up and down, but when you build that lean muscle, you've built a bigger engine, and it just requires more fuel. Does that make sense?
So that explains Vanessa's
That's what you were,
experience.
exactly,
Yeah.
right.
It's my fabulous
Yeah.
story that everybody's hanging on to.
What is that? Oh, you lose weight after you.
Hiking is the best exercise. It really is. I mean, think about it. You don't even need rest days. Hiking is what the human body adapted to over 200,000 years of the hunter-gatherer lifestyle. It's amazing what the body can do. And you're doing 2 yoga classes,
Well,
2 exercise classes, and a pool class on top of all of that. That is amazing.
Some of us
It's
actually
very
fall
enlightening in
asleep
a way,
during-
right? If you didn't fall asleep, something wouldn't be right. I'd be worried about you. I'd be like, who has those steroids? But that you can do so much exercise on fewer calories is just mind-blowing. Probably the most exercise it would be the most exercise I've ever done. I mean, I've done it, so it is.
Right.
On fewer calories. I know we think of calories as fuel.
Yeah.
Calories are fuel. Carbs and fats. Protein is not fuel. Protein is just restorative. But you do it on fewer calories than normal, and so the secret is just the nutritive support. There are 2 secrets. The foods from our garden, just basically organic plant foods that you can get at your natural food store, are just giving every organ and function to operate at its elite level. Your body just has more horsepower and can do what would generally be considered impossible. And so here's the other backdoor secret, is, well, we instinctively know, many people know instinctively what the most important food in our diet is, as far as like in the realm of plant foods. Just the general category.
Spinach? Green leaf stuff.
Green
Right.
foods. And the reason it's such an important key to being able to do all that is, it's a couple things. It's a detox food. It's chlorophyll that makes all living green things green. So that would be spinach, it would be kale, blue-green algae, spirulina, mustard greens, parsley, cilantro, basil. Okay, so iceberg lettuce, romaine, they're not really in that category. The darker green, the better. The darker green, the better. Chlorophyll is a negative ion, and it sucks toxins out of fat cells, out of the bloodstream. And when I say toxins, of course, that's a massive category where from too many processed grains, there are heavy metals from grinders and blenders, just metabolic waste that accumulates in the body from too much animal protein, too much sugar, and too many processed grains, smearing toxic things on our skin, not breathing the best air, not drinking the best water. That stuff does accumulate in the body over time. And the most important thing for getting that out is any kind of chlorophyll. And that not only are you taking a toxic burden off of all these organs, which creates a bit of an unlocking of life force, you're taking a burden off of all these sensitive things, but you are pulling those toxins out of your fat cells. Now, one of the roles of the fat cells in the body are to suck up toxins to protect vital organs. If those toxins are in your bloodstream, it's just so much wear and tear on your body. So fat cells over time become engorged with these toxins. Now, we mentioned earlier that fat is fuel. Fat and carbs are both fuel. That's why people can sustain on a low-carb, high-fat diet. I did. I'll tell you why in a minute. But that the reason for many people that they do a ton of exercise and low-calorie diet, but they have like stubborn areas of fat on their body that they can't seem to get rid of, is because it stores toxins. That your body is reluctant to burn it because then it's just dumping those toxins back into your bloodstream. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So you pull the funk out with the massive amount of green foods and green drinks and green things of all kinds that you have in your diet here, and your body's like, oh, wow, fuel. You have all this fuel stored up. That's why you can do so much exercise on fewer calories. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. It's true. I mean, I'm giving you just kind of the general big picture. We're not getting too far into the biochemistry of it, but I mean, it's just it's a law of human biology. That's the way it works.
What's the superfood story?
Well, my formulas evolved out of rebuilding my health. So the green drink you have in the morning.
Yeah, what's in there?
So it's a blend of spirulina, chlorella, clam-like algae. So algae's high in chlorophyll.
Yeah.
And it's actually the highest concentration of chlorophyll. That's why even a teaspoon makes it so dark green that you can't see light through it. Algae's been in the human diet all over the world for 100,000 years. You know, it's just basically, they scoop it out of ponds, throw it on a rock, it dries out, and then they grind it up. It's less known now. You know, it was back in the 70s where we discovered, ooh, wow, greens for pennies, you can grow wheatgrass. Wheatgrass, nutritive, but it comes with a price. It's irritating for the gastrointestinal system. The body doesn't digest it well. Whenever you have a wheatgrass shot, you're like, oh boy, here it comes. And then people can feel a little queasy afterwards, even if it is gluten-free. Again, the body just hasn't adapted to it well over 40 years. It takes longer than that. Where blue-green algae, easy to digest.
Did they put banana in it yesterday and not today?
We put just a tiny bit of banana in there to offset some of the bitter flavors. We don't really make it sweet. It's not sweet.
Yeah. But
So,
I mean,
if you don't like the taste, the capsules are in the tea cabinet for you.
oh
So
really?
you can take those instead.
What are the capsules?
Oh, it's
Superfood.
the same formula, just encapsulated. So the main ingredients are algae for the detoxification, and then it's a blend of herbs, stinging nettles, horsetail, some roots, burdock, maca root.
Are the capsules just as good for you as the drink?
It's the same exact formula, just encapsulated, and the capsules themselves are just made out of nopal cactus.
But the delivery to the body, is it the same?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the capsules, nopal cactus, if you hold them in your mouth too long, it dissolves. So if you drink it with some water, you're golden. But you have to consider that it's 33 different plant foods in there. In order to get a substantial volume of each of those plant foods, you have to take more than just a few capsules.
How many are you supposed to take?
Well, 8 would be introductory level, which would be
Is that
equivalent.
equivalent to a drink?
What?
Equivalent to a drink?
Yeah, you're having about 8 capsules here in your green drink, and that's introductory level. That's what you would take in the beginning, and then you can build up. So, but I mean, the whole concept of taking like
How
the
much
silver
should you
bullet
get?
multivitamin.
Like, how many of those shakes should you have daily? I mean, if you were to...
Well, I mean, it's food, so it's a little bit is good, but it's one of those things like kale. The more, the better. I mean, to a point, you're gonna knock. I don't think you would necessarily get any added benefit after you take a massive amount.
Right.
I'm not here to brag about my stuff. So
What's the boost capsule comprised of?
the boost capsule.
Don't you have a boost capsule over there with the?
Oh, the vitamin C capsule.
I guess. I thought
So there's a vitamin C capsule in the pantry too.
Immunity boost, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh.
That's just the tagline: immune boosting superfood. So Infinity C. It's just high vitamin C fruit extracts. So real food.
And there's no dairy, no meat here. Why?
Well, there's a sprinkling of dairy, and that is ghee. Ghee is butter oil, and it was in your soup last night.
Oh, that soup is so good.
It is. It's nice.
Uh-huh.
We should talk about soups. I really do think they play an important role in our diet.
Can I just ask one question?
Yeah.
Aren't eggs considered dairy? Because we had eggs for breakfast.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
Is
sure.
it?
Well, not
Because
really.
they always say no dairy.
No, dairy is
Special.
cow products, basically.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't include eggs. Okay.
No, but
Okay.
eggs I think are amazing. They are a perfect food. I know there's a buzz about cholesterol in eggs, but it's a kind of cholesterol that does not affect the body's cholesterol at all.
Huh.
It's saturated fats that can affect your cholesterol, and eggs have less than 1 gram of saturated fat. That's nominal.
So
It really is.
doing the egg whites or
They're just riding on the coattails of the hypnotic spell from the 90s that all fats make us fat. That was a disaster. And
So you think one should eat the egg yellow as well?
what?
One should eat the egg yellow as well.
Absolutely, that's the nutritive part of the food, loaded in magnesium and B12. That's the life force right there.
So and so we just had one egg, I think.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was like,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're small portions here.
Yeah.
They are. You know, if I could,
Truth be told.
but again, think about what you're able to do on fewer calories.
No, I'm blown away by that.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm able to go up there.
That has
with
just
eating so little.
that alone has its enlightenment value, and I just you would instinctively know this when you leave, but it helps us to point it out to be
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
look, everybody. So,
Right.
but I think eggs are a perfect food.
I mean, you
It's
need-
hard to overdo them. I mean, I have 5 eggs every morning.
You need
Wow.
you need
5
so
eggs
much
in a-
few.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go
It
ahead.
linked
You need
into ovarian cancer though, like to have them that regularly for women.
Really?
Never heard of
Yeah.
that.
I just heard.
That's
The
what
only
my
thing I heard over the
OBGYN
years
said.
was about the cholesterol. That was the big
The
to do.
They said mix it up.
we can live on these few calories while we're here, but the calories are scrupulously
Yeah.
selected. In our
So we have everything.
Yes,
yes,
orchestrated
exactly,
very
exactly,
strategically.
exactly. It's very scrupulously put together.
Yeah.
In
Daily
your regular
life.
life, like if you work, you know, for a firm and the firm feeds you lunch every day, which is what happens in my world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
some days it's healthy, some days it's not.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's not an excuse because I put a refrigerator in my office now, so I can bring
Good
my
for
own
you.
lunch and all that kind of
Oh.
stuff.
Good for you.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but now I have to make the lunch. That's the next step.
Not just keep the soda in there.
No, but it's, you know, I mean, it has to. It's how is this applicable to a life of living in, you know, in a world where you go out for dinner,
Mhm.
where you have to get take out
Mhm.
lunch during work days,
Mhm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's sort of one of the challenges. That's a hurdle right there, and I mean it depends on our lifestyle. But personally, I just make a lot of food at home, and then if and when I do go out, to heck with it. I just eat whatever. If you're too stringent, then it's wear and tear on our just peace of mind and psychological health.
Yeah.
When if you're maintaining just a sturdy chemistry in your body from what you're doing most of the time with the
Right.
foods
Yeah.
that you're purchasing at the
Right.
grocery store and making for yourself, and like you said, taking something to work with you. Okay, now when you go out with friends, to heck with it.
The
Eat
thing
Or
whatever.
you order fish or you
Oh,
order differently.
I was gonna say, what is your view of fish?
It's a tough one because unfortunately it is toxic.
It's got mercury and
It's a good protein for the body. It has its nutritive value. Have it here and there, but it's just another one of those reasons that green foods are so important. It's an unfortunate one. It's another one of those hurdles that I don't have a perfect answer for. You really want to make sure your fish is not. I mean, it's a tough one. Farm raised fish is really toxic. Like salmon, for example, if it says Atlantic salmon, it's actually farm raised. If
Yeah.
it's from the ocean, it has to say wild caught.
Yeah.
So we know that from the ocean
Line
it's going
caught
to
or
be
wild caught?
wild caught.
What if it's line caught?
Well, that's even better.
They say line caught.
It may be the same thing, but line caught means they're not using nets, where wild caught may mean nets. That's out of my area of expertise also.
Now here, is the diet considered true vegan, or is it just vegetarian?
Well,
yeah.
you have
Because
the eggs.
Yeah.
You have the eggs,
The
which I think
ghee.
are a brilliant food, and the ghee. And it's important to have some saturated fats in your diet. I know there's the whole buzz about saturated fats being bad, but we should talk about fats really quick. And then we'll come back to like how to get through your day, what I feel the ideal sequence is, and then how to integrate going out with friends and things of that nature. But fats, it's actually quite simple, but we've just gotten so far off track. It was back in the 90s where we thought, eek, all fat is bad. Because what happened, what triggered that fear was that we discovered you can make cheap oils. Like canola, safflower, corn, soybean oil. They're inexpensive. Where the more expensive would be butter, coconut, olive oil, and the catch, these oils, when they're processed, are rancid.
And
And-
canola oil was an industrial
Yeah.
used
Yeah.
product, right? It wasn't until they did what you're
Right.
talking about.
And so rancid oils in our diet irritate the thyroid. You irritate your thyroid, metabolism goes down.
so all the rancid oils are what? Can you?
So the cheap oils are basically like the unsaturated oils, pretty much aside from olive oil. So when I say unsaturated, that just means that they're liquid at room temperature, where saturated fats would be like butter, ghee, coconut oil, chocolate, butter, cacao butter, palm oil. Those are saturated. Animal lard, sausage, bacon,
Wait,
things of that nature.
I'm confused, sorry. So the saturated is okay and unsaturated is not?
Okay, so I'll come full circle to that.
Okay.
So we found all these cheap oils, canola, safflower, sunflower, and then we also figured out that you can make them saturated by just a heating process to produce hydrogenated vegetable oil, which was like a butter substitute. Crisco, I can't believe it's not butter, all those sort of companies. And that all of those cheaper oils, again, irritate the thyroid, metabolism goes down. So when we went to a low-fat diet, then everybody got fatter and cranky. And what happened is we just started eating a massive amount of starchy foods, bread, chips, crackers, pasta, and that it's fuel, and if you're not doing exorbitant amounts of exercise, then it's stored as fat. And the tough thing with carbohydrates is they don't satisfy your appetite like fats do. You can eat a huge plate of pasta to where you physically feel full, but then you want ice cream. You're still craving something, and people don't know. They think they're craving sugar. Maybe they are, but more important for the body is actually fat. The body suffers on a low-fat diet. Think of fat-soluble nutrients. You need sufficient fat in your diet just for most nutrients, and your brain. The thing that suffers the most is your brain, because your brain is made of saturated fat. That's why people get tired and cranky on a low-fat diet. That's the big thing that suffers. Now, so what we want to do is...
So what fats should we eat?
So we want to reintegrate healthy fats back into our diet, and that is going to... Remember, fat is fuel. And we're actually, at the end of the day, going to be consuming fewer calories if we integrate these fats, because they are what really satiate the appetite to protect you from overeating. So an example would be 200 calories of avocado or macadamia nuts would satisfy your appetite way more than 200 calories of crackers. So we need to integrate the healthy oils, and those would be, so unsaturated oils would be olive oil, the oils from raw nuts and seeds, and that these really, but here's the catch, with unsaturated fats, they have to be not heated. They have to be, when you cook them, like if you cook with olive oil, I know the Italians do it, but every body type is different. Cold press it, which means it's literally at cool temperatures just pressed out, because all of these cheap oils like canola, safflower, sunflower, corn oil are expeller pressed, which is a heating process, and that's what makes them rancid. And so olive oil, if you cook with it, it breaks down in a way that it becomes rancid and also irritates the thyroid. So things like olive oil, save it for your salad. That's where
What are we supposed to cook with then?
okay, that's where saturated fats come in and play a very important role. Saturated fats are heat stable. They don't break down the same way that unsaturated. Coconut is a great oil to cook with. That's what we cook with here. And it's important to have...
Everything tastes a little bit of coconut.
I know there is a buzz about saturated fat being bad, and it does require some degree of moderation, because even the healthier saturated fats can raise your cholesterol, even if it's a cholesterol-free food like coconut. If you overdo it, it can raise your cholesterol. Now, you have a range of flexibility there. 1 to 3 tablespoons of coconut oil if you have a relatively active lifestyle. Is that going to really raise your LDL cholesterol, the bad kind of cholesterol? No. If you have heart disease, fine, cut that stuff out. Be taking massive amounts of essential fatty acids.
Cook with them.
What do you cook with? You cook with saturated fats like coconut, like ghee, like butter, and those are the 3 elites to cook with. Yeah, butter is an awesome food. I love butter.
And that's better to cook with than olive oil.
Me too.
What?
And it's better to cook with than olive oil.
Yes. Now, I know Italians cook with olive oil. Every body type is different, but I am confident that they would be healthier, longer-living people if they used saturated fat in moderation to do their cooking, so that they're not just eating a bunch of free radicals from rancid oils irritating their thyroid. So...
What is ghee again? I know you said.
So ghee is an awesome food. It is butter oil, where all they do, I mean, you can make it at home. It's just it's the butter that's been low boiled until the residual protein separates, and then it's filtered. There is actually a little bit of protein in butter, because it's just the cream, and there's a little bit of protein in there. And the only disadvantage of that is that it burns easily. Great to cook with, but it burns.
That's the browning stuff.
Right. So ghee doesn't burn. Good for high heat cooking. But they're neck and neck. They're both great foods. In India, and other Asian cultures, they revere butter and ghee as superfoods, and I really believe they are. As far as dairy products,
H-E-E.
yeah, as far as dairy products, butter, ghee, they're the best. It's the quality of fat. Again, it requires some degree of moderation, but why it's so important is it's a brain food.
Speaking of superfoods and dairy, Greek yogurt?
Yeah, that was my bad.
It's okay, but the thing with yogurt, the whole low-fat yogurt thing is such a disaster. You go whole yogurt, less of it. Remember, it's the fats that satisfy. You eat one of those low-fat yogurt things, and you're like, did I eat anything? You're still hungry. Where it's those fats
So the
that satiate.
0% not a good idea.
I mean, it's not bad for you, but again, the quality of fat in dairy is quite good. Now, butter is better because it's cultured and it's more digestible.
But you're not going to eat that much butter as
Yeah.
you do the Greek yogurt.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I cook my eggs in butter just at a low temperature, and I also put it on rye bread, like real rye where it's only rye. Rye-flavored bread is such a
Yeah,
joke.
it's like whole wheat bread.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
whole wheat sometimes.
Does it say rye flavored on the packaging?
Well, what you need to do is, even at your natural food store, you just need to see what the ingredients are. Most of the rye bread is just rye flavor, where the first ingredients are, like you said, wheat flour. Real rye bread feels like a brick.
Yeah.
It's a German bread where it is majorly dense, and it is awesome because it's the whole rye grain. It has a massive amount of fiber, and it's really digestible.
It's like this, right?
Oh, the
It's
little
small,
logs,
yeah.
the square logs.
Yes,
that
and
crumble.
and
I
if
love
you
that
toast
stuff.
it,
I
if
love
you
that
toast it,
stuff.
it's really nice. You
Delicious
just kind
because
of
it falls apart a bit.
Yeah.
well, if you toast it, then it doesn't, and it's really nice. I mean,
And then you
it's
put butter on it? Ooh, we can do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I know.
It's a
Yeah,
great
I don't-
food,
I'm
and the
so
advantage
Awesome,
the
with an
advantage
egg
of
for breakfast?
It's a trigger food.
the advantage of rye bread is it's lower in gluten,
Control myself.
so
I'm
it's
sorry.
a low gluten
I have heard
grain.
nothing, but I don't want to miss a single thing, so I'm just going to sit here and hold it.
I am recording this.
I'm not
And
going to
that's
go back
on
and
tape,
listen
by
to
the
it.
way. That was it, Ann, who has to go to the bathroom.
Nobody will know who it is. Just don't say. I can edit that out now.
So what
So,
about sugar and caffeine?
okay, that's an important one right there. Sugar has more wear and tear on our body than we think.
We were
A
talking about
little bit of sugar is a flavoring,
But how do you do
not
it?
a big deal. Like if you're having ultra dark chocolate, like 70% cacao or more, and you're not eating the whole bar, is that much sugar going to hurt you? No. But there is sugar in everything. And it has wear and tear. So even if it's a little bit, the frequency of it, it's like a constant trickle of wear and tear. And I mean, same thing with
Cancer
like
loves
high
sugar.
gluten, like wheat flour. Same thing with too many animal products in our diet. It's just that constant trickle of wear and tear. And so what we, in law of nature, we all have a sweet tooth. You got to have sugar because it's an instant brain food. Glucose doesn't take any time to break down, where carbohydrates and fats can take hours. So if you're really hungry, eat sugar. What's the elite sugar? Go for the elite sugar first.
What is it?
Fruit.
Banana.
Oh,
And so
right.
have fruit. A banana's fine. I prefer like the most nutritive elite fruits, which would be berries. Cherries are cool. They are high sugar, but some kind of fruit that has a nutritive property. I mean, pears I wouldn't necessarily call nutritious, but it's a high water content fruit. That's good. Watermelon, same. Apples. Tropical fruits require a little more moderation, so that would be bananas, pineapple, mango, because they're just higher sugar. So you wouldn't want to just eat a whole mango or 2 bananas. You know, better to just like have a bowl of strawberries or blackberries, a handful of cherries.
Blueberries, best?
Blueberries are awesome. I can't say they're the best, but they definitely fulfill a role. They're a great food.
What
So,
about non-fruit sugars?
and here's the other key to keep to. Okay, we'll talk about
The
that.
less
the ones that we always
the less
eat.
elite sugar.
Just
So-
put on the table, chocolate mousse, tell us.
No, I don't. Also, wait. But the whole thing is, what is the wear and tear that sugar does on your body?
Yes, unfortunately, it feeds mutated cell growth. It's extremely acidic. It just totally alters your body's atmosphere, and it has a kind of metabolic waste that accumulates in your cells. It's just wear and tear. It is. Inflammation. It throws your blood sugar off. It can lead to diabetes. Now, again, a little bit here and there, like if you go to a friend's birthday party, to heck with it, eat whatever. I personally don't, because I just, my health is too sensitive.
Right.
Yeah,
And I just have totally lost a taste for it. If I eat a piece of cake, I'm just like, ugh, that is disgusting. I've totally lost a taste for all that sort of stuff because I have had no processed sugar other than a few squares of dark chocolate.
Wow.
That's it.
So speaking of candy,
And I make my own sort of dessert foods. That's sort of my expertise.
Do we get it here?
I wish. You used to.
What do you make?
What do I make?
Yeah, what dessert foods
You're
do you make?
well, sort of dessert foods.
Okay,
Oh.
so
Yes.
so here's the
Forgot
key.
that
Here's so dessert.
Also.
Two things help make things dessert. It's the sugar
Yeah.
and the protein fat. Sugars and protein fats go really well together. And so anytime you're having fruit, have it with a protein fat like yogurt, raw almond butter. And then it makes it a much more satisfying thing. Because if you just have fruit, you're still craving. You're like, that was great, that tasted great, but you're hungry 5 minutes later.
Right. And it
Where
stabilizes your insulin, right?
Yes, where then metabolizing that sugar with protein fats makes it a more sustained, it's like a kind of a well-rounded meal now. You're getting your natural sugar, and the protein fat kind of helps sustain it. That's why I'm a huge fan of having that, like as a dessert. You can just have like honey and yogurt, which is really nice. It really is quite nice. Or, an apple and almond butter is that dessert, and but blueberries and yogurt, berries and yogurt, dried fruit, and that's why people instinctively like dried fruit and nuts and seeds together. That combines really well. Smoothies I'm a huge fan of because you can put all those things in the blender, and so you can make it a well-rounded meal. You're putting your like a banana in there, a handful of berries, some yogurt, some raw almond butter, some greens, and now you have like this well-rounded meal where people, when they drink smoothies and it's just a bunch of sugar, it's like
what kind of butter?
Almond butter.
almond butter.
Is
Almond
that
butter.
your preference? In
I think
terms of the
almonds are
butters?
just an amazing food because they're high in vitamin D.
Yeah.
But make sure they're raw because those oils in almonds, unsaturated fats, are heat sensitive. Roasted almonds, rancid. They irritate your thyroid. Fine if you're like at a friend's house for a baseball game and they have a bowl of almonds out there.
chocolate covered almonds?
Well, it's kind of the same thing.
Dark
about
chocolate
soy?
covered raw almonds.
Soy?
Exactly.
How do you feel
Are
about
we-
soy?
Before we get off
Okay.
track, soy is a good one to cover, but sugar, you asked about, like, processed sugar.
So what kind of, what is
Right.
it? So if we go to a store, a normal store,
Uh-huh.
what can we buy that's okay to eat in terms of candy?
Right.
Nothing.
Okay, that's a trick question. I'm going to the bathroom.
I wish I had an answer for you.
But is it
So-
like the black chocolate?
So
or?
here I have a first, before we get off the subject of fruit, have fruit in your diet, preferably with protein fat, not required necessarily, but have it in your diet twice a day. Like have it first thing in the morning, either have a smoothie or just eat a pear, a handful of berries, and then have food right after that. You do that in the morning, and then the afternoon, you are keeping your sweet tooth happy. Again, the body needs frequent glucose, which if you go all day without having fruit, or if you go a days without having fruit, now some people, they need to go totally sugar-free, including fruit for a period, for a various number of health reasons, but we don't have to get into that. That's a whole other area. But that you keep your sweet tooth happy, and then if and when you're around like a dinner party or a candy store or whatever, you're less likely to completely overdo it. You can have a little something and you're happy. Again, if you don't have that regular sugar when you're around that other processed sugar, it can just turn into a whole landslide of overdoing it. And so for if and when you do have like some kind of treat, try to search for something that has the elite processed sugars. Well, so there's the big category of processed sugar, and then within that category, the toxic stuff is the processed cane sugar, the processed white sugar. But okay, I wouldn't call honey a processed sugar, but as far as like a non-fruit sugar, I would put that at the top of the totem pole. Raw honey, it's a lot of sugar. It's a lot of sugar, so it requires some moderation.
Right.
But it has nutritive properties. It's stimulating for your immune system. It's a rad food. Maple syrup, tree sap. Not Aunt Jemima. I'm sure she was a nice lady. But
Yeah.
yeah, tree sap, nutritive food.
Agave?
Agave is okay. It doesn't have any nutritive properties, but it just doesn't have quite the same toxic effects that cane sugar does. It's not so acid forming. It's not so imbalancing for your blood sugar. Still, it is processed sugar, so you don't want to just like put a whole thing in your morning smoothie. You have, but it's okay.
Artificial sweeteners.
That stuff's disaster right there. That's I with sugar. Stevia is in a separate category altogether. Stevia is an herb that just has a sweet taste.
Is it what?
It's an herb.
So it's okay.
It's a green plant. So
it's okay?
So you can get whole leaf stevia. And that stuff's pretty cool. It even has nutritive properties. And it's actually a green powder. It's green. It's a leaf that's just been ground up. Now, all the processed stevia is getting a little questionable because it's like bleached white. I mean, it looks like cocaine. And so that because it's an herb, it's a plant, in order for it to not all just stick together and clump together, they have to add maltodextrin.
How about the liquid ones?
That's pretty good.
Okay.
That's okay. So it's a sugar substitute. It's calorie-free. The catch is flavor-wise, it works with some things, not all things.
Yeah.
But if you really need to cut out sugar, boom. Do a little stevia. What you can also do is do a little stevia and a little honey.
What about brown sugar?
Well, brown sugar, all they do is they add the molasses back in. I mean, it's probably slightly less toxic. But better is coconut palm sugar. And it looks like brown sugar.
Do you have that all in the book that we're getting?
You don't get a book, but this is recorded.
Palm sugar.
And
So where are you going to put it? Where are we going to find that?
The ashram is going to give you a link.
Oh, I see.
Oh, they are.
Okay,
Oh,
And
good.
you can listen to this. You'll get a link at the end of the week.
Lots of
And you just
pieces
punch
of
the link in
information
and-
here.
No, but it's only for this
We're going
class.
to send it to everyone we know.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like anyone knows.
Kristen had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, Kristen. That was Kristen. She went to
Kirsten, right?
It might have been, could have been Jemima. That had to go to the bathroom. So yeah, coconut palm sugar. It's like a really dark brown looking sugar, and it's low glycemic, which just basically means it doesn't send the blood sugar up and down so fast.
But it's not
And
the
it's-
same tree that has the palm oil that's killing the orangutans, right?
That is out of my area of expertise. I wish I could tell you.
Is that sugar as
Stay away from
healthy
palm
for
oil.
you as honey and maple syrup?
It doesn't have any nutritive value.
Oh, okay.
Is it sweet?
Yeah, it's sugar made from coconut. I don't know. That's a good question to ask. I feel like we need to answer that one for ourselves.
But the orangutan one? You're like
Because
palm
palm oil.
Bits of information.
Yeah, no, you should go on Jeopardy.
That's right.
That'll be my goal.
Seriously. No,
That's
I'm serious.
Everything. When I
So-
know a little about everything, I meant you have to know a lot about a lot.
No, I don't know.
You're like a walking
Wikipedia.
internet.
Yeah.
So that's the coconut palm sugar. Does it come from palm oil
The same
trees?
plant that the palm oil comes from.
Because
they're
these are
growing them
these are
in
coconut
Indonesia and all
these
the
are coconut
orangutans.
trees. These
Yeah, but where does palm oil come from?
I don't think they're coconut related.
That'd be awesome.
Because it's a coconut tree.
No, wait, palm trees give you palm oil, but they don't necessarily have coconuts. There's different kind of palm trees.
Look at you acting like the expert. You're just making this up. You are making this up.
You know what these are laughing because if I'm right.
Yeah.
Stop it! I would just like to.
Look at you, Vanessa, taking off the
No.
chandelier.
The little things I learned along the way.
Yeah.
But if I'm right, I knew it.
Don't sacrifice coconut oil for. Yeah, I don't know.
I heard alcohol also produces estrogen. Is that true?
I've never heard that, but unfortunately, alcohol is poison. So
Right.
I wish I.
cut down.
like all kinds of alcohol.
Yeah. But only the one that
No, the
kills the orangutan.
coconut sugar one is okay.
Yeah. Are you? Can we distinguish wine from liquors?
Red
Uh,
wine was supposed to be good for you.
Yeah.
A glass a day? But it produces estrogen.
Keeps the doctor
so if
away.
you have that BRCA gene or something like Angelina.
Oh, right.
I'm gonna look into that, but I don't think so because palm oil does not come from coconut trees. But
So
palm,
why is it called
palm oil.
coconut palm sugar? Why is the palm in there? That's what
That might have been my own mistake. It's coconut. I don't know.
Maybe it's just
Because
called
coconut comes
sugar.
from a palm tree. I'm saying, I'm serious. There are different kinds
Yeah.
of palm trees out there.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Are we recording
But palm oil is definitely wear and tear both on the body and the environment. It's a kind of saturated fat that's like, eh.
It's in everything. It's so hard to.
It's a
like
cheap
even
oil.
Dr. Bronner's,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
soap,
I mean,
it's
basically,
so healthy.
because before it was hydrogenated vegetable oil, which just has such a bad rap, so palm oil is the cheap replacement. So it's kind of like replacing olive oil with canola oil. If you look at all of these natural salad dressings,
Yeah.
they're all just canola oil. They might even say olive oil, but it's way down the list of ingredients.
Right.
You got to make your own salad dressing, and you know what? It ain't hard. The best salad dressing of all is just tons of olive oil. It's one of those foods where the more the better. You ain't ever going to make yourself fat on olive oil. Law of nature. Pour it on there, and then squeeze a lemon, sprinkle some sea salt,
Yeah.
and cayenne pepper, and now you're like, that's great. How can you beat that? And then what you can also do is sprinkle some ground up flaxseed meal in there, and it all sticks together, and then it's not just oil and lemon juice that sinks to the bottom of the bowl. And
Right.
so,
No mustard, no vinegar.
well, that's cool too.
Is it?
Yeah,
Mustard is okay?
yeah.
Can we talk Starbucks?
Caffeine.
Or even not so much the caffeine, but just, a latte. I mean, even if you
Uh-huh.
get a decaf one,
Yeah.
it's dairy milk. And
Mhm.
and I'm assuming you're going to tell me non-fat milk is worse than...
Well, see, the catch with low-fat milk is that it's just lactose concentrated. And there's this whole buzz about people becoming sensitive to lactose, and we just forget the big picture that with low-fat milk, we're just drinking a ton of lactose.
Oh.
And so that's the part of dairy that,
That's why whole milk unpasteurized no one is lactose intolerant of it.
yes, so that's the key. Whole dairy, less of it. Whole dairy, less of it.
Just across the board.
And what about caffeine milk? Can we touch the caffeine portion of the latte?
Right, I mean, it's
Third rail.
it's a little hardcore that they don't allow caffeine here. I kind of wish they allowed some tea. It's like, really, guys? But that's just the way it's always been. I think it's okay. A little bit of caffeine is okay.
Do you drink coffee?
No, I drink tea.
Now, they used to have, Morning Thunder and all that stuff here, but they also used to not do the snacks, and the diet was different. I mean,
What's morning thunder?
It's softened up a bit.
Caffeinated herbal tea. I mean, was that due to your influence with? No.
I mean, I spiffed up the menu a little bit. It's better now, but they'll only let me do so much stuff.
Yeah.
So like the soup was just added a few weeks ago, so
That
that's
soup
nice.
The soup was incredible.
My
Good.
favorite meal so far.
Yeah,
Good.
mine too.
I'm happy. I'm
And
happy
And that
like that.
recipe's going to be in our book.
I think soup actually fulfills a very important role. There's the whole buzz about everybody needing to eat more raw foods, which is true. Everybody needs more raw fruits. And, well, okay, maybe not you all, because obviously you're a health conscious group here. But
We're here to
but
become
it's a
that.
but it's a
Question about the candy, right? And she's addicted to Starbucks.
well.
I'm happy to be addicted to both, but
Yeah.
Well, so we instinctively crave cooked food. We need both. It's a balance. If you go entirely raw, it just can cool your body's temperature too much, and spleen and all things of that nature, and it's just not great for your digestion. It's okay to do like a raw food cleanse, where you do it for like a month in the summer when it's warm out. Now you're all right, but to sustain a raw food diet forever, that whole buzz kind of wore off a little bit.
that's so interesting because I cannot stand eating too many raw foods in the winter in New England. Like, I crave soup.
Right.
I have to have,
Mhm.
like, I cannot stand going home and having,
Right.
like, most of the year I'm fine having a salad for dinner.
Uh-huh.
But when I go home in the winter, it's like I can't stand, I need it.
You want something cooked and hot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just the general law of nature is cooked food warms the body, even though it may not be hot, and raw food cools the body. And so, yes, instinctively in the cooler season, the body wants more soups and stews, and then in the summer you want more salads. And so, but still, soup plays an important role because it's cooked food and it's easy to digest plant foods that are where, yeah, you're going to lose some of the antioxidant nutritive value, but then it's making the mineral content even more easily digested. Because, like, plant foods like broccoli and kale, those are hard for the body to break down.
Right.
And so when they're cooked and they're soft, your body is better able to digest them. You're less likely to get gassy, and you're extracting minerals from those foods that you otherwise wouldn't get. Now, of course, the raw green foods are the most important thing, I feel. And so the thing to do is, if you're having soup, fine. You don't always have to eat salads. It would be so boring if we just had to eat salads all the time.
Right.
Still, just have some raw greens. Have a raw green drink. I swear I'm not bragging about my stuff. If you don't want a green drink, grab a big, massive handful of spinach and just eat it. You don't have to always douse it in dressing. It doesn't taste bad. Or eat a sprig of kale or a big handful of arugula.
What
You know,
about these
just eat
kale
it.
chips she made? With
Those
all
are
the-
cool. Those are cool. No, they are baked.
Baked.
Yeah.
But does that mean they have no more nutrients?
No, they still, the mineral content is hugely available, and it's now a really easy to digest food. Now, you can also get it dehydrated at the natural food store. You get like this flimsy 3-ounce bag for like $8.
Yes,
It's like,
yeah,
dang.
it's crazy.
Is it
I
good
mean, it
though?
is nice. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's cool. You're getting your chlorophyll, where chlorophyll loses its value when you cook it. That's why even if you're having soup, you don't necessarily need to do it 3 meals a day, but at least once during the day, just eat a big handful of greens.
Now, is it when
Dark
I
greens.
When I eat a lot of vegetables,
Okay.
like for days in a row, raw vegetables,
Mhm.
celery, and all that stuff,
In the summer.
I actually feel bloated.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Is
Yes.
Is that just me?
Well, no,
No,
that's
I-
totally normal. It would
Okay.
happen to me too, and the reason is,
And it's like bikini season, so it's not.
Yeah.
it's not bloated, I'm
yeah.
just
See,
saying.
they're coarse. It's cellulose in those foods that makes it a rigid plant, so that it's not just flopping over in the dirt out in nature. And you really got to chew it up. And
Right.
if you just eat too many of those foods, then it makes you gassy. It just does. So, again, that's where I feel soup plays an important role, is that they're easy to digest food. And then also just greens, raw greens like spinach and arugula. What are some really easy to, you can buy the boxed
Mash. I love mash.
salads, right, where you just eat it. Those aren't hard to
Mixed-
digest. Those aren't
mixed
going to make you
greens.
bloated, right?
Those-
Right, those are easy. I mean, they're soft foods, where
Yes.
kale, the rougher,
Yeah.
sort of harder, coarser
Yeah.
foods, especially broccoli, those make you gassy. And again, if you have too many of them, not only does your body's temperature go down a little bit, but your spleen cools down a little bit. And your spleen is basically like the force behind your digestion. You turn that down, and then your digestion's kind of like, and so you got to have more cooked, easy to digest foods in there. I mean, personally, I just rarely eat many other raw vegetables other than just raw greens. I just eat a massive amount of raw greens, and then my other vegetables, I have them in soups, stews, and things of that nature. And then here's the other secret, is you can also have your raw veggies, you just throw them in the blender. And make, and you need a good high-power blender. Yeah, gazpacho, exactly. You can throw raw vegetables, like raw kale, that would otherwise be hard to digest. You throw it in like a good high-power blender, and you can make sauces, dips, pestos, dressings, soups. Does that sound? And so that's great.
Is
Now you
basil
have.
good
Now you
for
have.
you?
Totally.
And
Yeah.
all those herbs
It's
are good.
green,
The green
yes.
herbs are all good.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Can we
It's
go
good
back
for
to
the.
alcohol for a second?
Yeah.
So I'm taking it that there is no difference between drinking wine and having a shot of whiskey.
Well, I mean, the trade-off is that wine has more of the bacteria metabolic waste in there that can just accumulate in the bloodstream, fat cells and things of that nature, where whiskey is more concentrated and it's easier to sort of let that one get away from you and overdo it. So that's a tough one. I wish I had a
So
perfect answer
vodka
for you.
versus wine, for example, you drink vodka.
Well, vodka is distilled, so all of that sort of metabolic waste stuff has been filtered out, and it's pure, but still, I mean, it's basically like purified poison. Where, okay, I mean, a shot or two, or I don't know, on occasion 3, Is that going to hurt you? Probably not. But, I mean, just that constant trickle of wear and tear, if you have it every day, I mean, it's just unfortunate. It's just the way it is. It's one of those hurdles in life.
You're more likely to have wine every day than you have vodka.
Right. I mean, again, just like a serving or two, maybe.
Yeah.
Is that going to hurt? I don't think so. I don't know. I've had a little alcohol here and there, and I just kind of lose interest after a day or two. I think just kind of my body is sensitive. You know, I don't feel that great.
What about?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I had heard that raw cruciferous vegetables like cauliflower, broccoli, and then just even button normal mushrooms, like not fancy mushrooms, that if you eat them raw, it's a great anti-cancer thing.
Well, I mean, I don't know if there's something necessarily special about cruciferous vegetables. I would just think all raw plant foods, especially high antioxidant foods. So that would be like your berries in particular. But as far as cruciferous vegetables playing some kind of role with anti-cancer, I just don't know. But the most important nutrient for cancer is vitamin C. Massive amounts of vitamin C. The two main things with cancer: massive amounts of vitamin C, cut sugar out. Even like fruit juice. I mean, okay, if it's a cold, fresh pressed juice, fine. But it's good to go ultra low sugar, even fruit sugar. Just go for like the low sugar berries, high antioxidant fruits.
And does it matter what form you take the vitamin C in? Like,
you want it to be real plant food.
Yeah.
Because vitamin C products are just ascorbic acid. And ascorbic acid is just made from fermenting corn. And ascorbic acid is just one of numerous bioflavonoids in vitamin C. So ascorbic acid is basically just a slice of vitamin C, where it's a few different parts.
So what's the best thing to take for vitamin C?
Orange juice.
Well, oranges are great. I mean, there are many high vitamin C foods.
Tomatoes?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
red peppers or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the super high vitamin. I mean,
Yeah.
then there's like medicinal level vitamin C, and I would consider those to be camu camu. Have you heard of that?
What is that?
It's an Amazonian fruit.
Okay. Camu camu?
Camu camu. Acerola berry.
What are y'all Marguerite?
No.
No, okay.
No, she might be upstairs in her room. You should knock on the door.
And amla berry. And those are basically just
Alma berry.
amla.
Amla.
and what are the
Where's that
others?
from?
Ooh, these berries.
What about
What are the
acai
others?
berries?
Acai berry is high in antioxidants, but it's not a high vitamin C fruit.
What are the other high vitamin C fruits since I've been recognized?
Well, those are like the medicinal level.
Yeah. And then other
Yeah.
than that, it's oranges and lemon. Does lemon have vitamin C in it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Grapefruit?
Grapefruit, sure. Sure. Yeah.
I know we touched on fish when we were talking about proteins, but
Yeah, I was going to ask that too.
What proteins do you recommend?
I know. See,
and
protein is just one of these modern day hurdles. I wish I had a perfect answer for you. I mean, there are a couple ways to look at it.
So you don't believe in high protein, low carb?
No, that's a disaster.
You believe in high carb, high fat.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. With the whole fat, protein, carbohydrate balance, you have more flexibility than you would think. I mean, it doesn't need to be the same thing every day, every week. You can, the body likes to kind of go with the seasons. And also, I mean, every body type is so different. And that's the difficult thing in the Western world is we're just like this huge melting pot.
Right.
I mean, look at the tremendous variety out there. I mean, consider that Eskimos are living off of mussels and whale blubber and a sprinkling of herbs in the summer solstice, and then the Balinese are subsisting on just rice and lentils and beef and chicken year-round. And it works. It works for both of them, and I don't know how well they would do if they just kind of swapped appetites. So, but, I mean, again, the body definitely has a lot of room for flexibility. I don't think it's important to necessarily get a set amount of grams of protein every day, or carbohydrates or fats. I mean, your tastes are gonna.
Story at that point, isn't it?
Well, portion control. The thing to portion control is it is built into the human instincts. The reason that there has become a buzz about portion control is that we're just eating a bunch of processed grains, that don't have. Hi there.
Really?
Hi.
Yes, she has quite a pretty story.
She didn't finish the salad.
What was that?
Hi.
You came out and it looked like you had a platter of cookies in your hand.
Oh. Well, Rosemary sent me out.
The rest of your lunch.
Oh.
So you all have pool class starting here shortly, but we can go another few here. I recorded this for you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
The protein, so you were stuck on the proteins, right? We were talking about which protein we can eat.
Okay,
Yeah,
so as far as like the balance of how many grams of protein, carbohydrates, and fats to have in your diet, we talked about portion control, and what I was going to say is those are built into the human instincts. The reason that we had to really take that into serious consideration is because, again, the majority of our diet is just processed grains.
Yeah.
You know, so many processed wheat products between bread, chips, crackers, cookies, pasta, all things of that nature. And muffins and bagels and all the different bread products. It's amazing. And so it's just easy to overdo them because they don't satisfy our appetite. A, because they don't supply healthy fats that, as we talked about, is what really curbs our appetite. And also they don't give the nutritive support. The nutritive support also satisfies our appetite. So the thing to do is to integrate more of these high nutrient foods into our diet, and that would be plant foods, where we can have these stews and soups like you had last night. You can have these salads. You can have a little bit of steamed quinoa in there. And now, in order to overdo calories, you would have to eat a massive volume of food. You can eat a huge volume of food, and you got to remember that a lot of that volume in these plant foods is water and fiber, right? And it's hard. It's really hard to overdo them. And again, integrate these healthy fats into your diet that I've been talking about. Law of human biology, those fats satisfy your appetite, and it's fuel. Fat doesn't just go, it's fuel. It's fuel. Fat and carbs are both fuel. That's why people can subsist on low-carb diet.
Protein does what?
But the low-carb, high-protein diet, not so ideal because you can overdo protein.
Yeah.
It's a little harder to underdo it because you get protein from plant foods, but then there is the hurdle where every body type is different. And yes, like I don't know how well I would do on just exclusively plant foods. That's where I feel eggs play a very important role. They're an awesome protein, and they're really hard to overdo.
So are they the only protein food that you eat?
I do yogurt, and I do take a protein supplement. My body requires a massive amount of
Don't
protein.
eat chicken.
How did you figure that out?
I'm vegetarian. I've gone back and forth where I was hardcore vegan, and I was like 150 pounds and just didn't have the muscle mass to, I just didn't have the mass to hold this frame right. But I had lots of energy and vitality. It was a trade-off, and then I started eating massive amounts of bison and elk and venison, like elite protein. And I gained like 40 pounds and felt tired. Protein ain't fuel; it's restorative, and so it's a balance. Now again, that realm of flexibility is wide. I was a creature of extremes, so now I have a vegetarian, primarily plant food diet where I do eat a lot of eggs, where I do have a lot of yogurt and some butter and a little cheese, and I do take a protein supplement.
And how did you figure out you needed massive protein?
Well, because again, I feel like if I don't supplement with protein, I just lose muscle
I
mass.
see.
How about bars? We tasted the bar today.
Oh, good. Yeah.
It was delicious.
Thanks. Those are my
The what?
vitamin C bars.
The bar that
You didn't get
JJ
it.
gave us a little sliver of?
No, you didn't get it.
I
He
know
was
that.
already
Yeah.
gone from that station.
Yeah. Anytime you need just a little shot of natural glucose and protein fat, they'll give you a little piece of bar. Sure, just ask.
What kind of bar is that? Is it
So I have a vitamin
Really?
C bar, and then I have a green bar.
that
so-
you purchase?
Oh,
No.
That you make?
Yeah, that I make.
Oh.
Wait, which one is the first one?
The vitamin C bar.
Yeah, that's what I have, right? That
Yeah.
was delicious.
Yeah.
I had the date.
Oh, wow. So what about soy? Or,
Soy,
tofu and
a little bit of
soy
soy
butter
is
and-
fine, you know. Tofu and tempeh have been in the human diet, and edamame, steamed soybeans, have been in the diet a long time, especially in Asian cultures. And I think a little bit here and there is fine. But the problem is just soy and everything. Soy protein isolate. There's
GMO.
Yeah,
Yes,
that
soy's
that's the
GMO.
other half of it is GMO, which is just toxic wear and tear on the body. But just the constant trickle of soy from all of these natural
Protein
products.
bars, everything.
You know,
Yeah.
all of the low-fat snack foods are the worst. They all have a little bit of soy, and they all have just a little bit of those rancid oils, and
Yeah.
they're just starch. And so too much, just the trickle of soy, it throws your body's chemistry off a little bit. It does. It throws things off. But again, just having like whole soybean foods. I mean, tofu is not whole soybean, but I mean, having a little bit of tofu is fine. I wouldn't have it every day. I personally don't really do soy. I'll have a little bit of tempeh here and there, but I just
We drink soy milk in our house.
Mhm.
I mean, that's what my son drinks, and
Right.
he has that in his cereal, and he'll have like 5 bowls of cereal. Is
Uh-huh.
that bad for kids?
They can overdo it.
Yeah.
They can see it's how
I
we
need to
got
try
onto
that.
this wagon where we're just having
Yeah.
like processed grains and milk in the morning, like cereal. What is cereal? What is
Okay, I need
granola?
to do
Granola
that.
is such junk.
Really? Okay. I know everyone uses
You have-
that in their
you
smoothie
had-
now when you go, you know. Okay, yeah, 'cause
Uh-huh.
there's a ton of
I'm
if
guessing
you use, like,
it's
a half a-
gluten free and not just like it's
Part
definitely
of
not
it.
going to be wheat or
Yeah, I know, that's
or
My
anything
son
like
has
that.
oatmeal in the morning.
Yeah, oatmeal's cool. You know, it's the whole grain. It's
It's the process.
I don't do too much oatmeal. You know, I'm an egg guy, and rye. Rye is sort of the one grain. I'll do a little quinoa, but rye is the perfect grain for me.
Rye bread or rye?
Like rye bread, but it's 100% rye, where it feels like this dense brick. It's like that German bread. So where 99% of the rye bread is just rye
Rye
flavor.
pasta?
Huh?
Is it rye pasta?
I don't know. You can get quinoa pasta,
I
and
don't-
that's gluten free. You don't do quinoa?
I love quinoa.
Yeah.
But as quinoa, I bought that quinoa pasta. I didn't.
You didn't like
It's
it.
like either eat I pasta or I eat quinoa. But
Uh huh.
the two of them together in one.
And
Other.
so granola is bad.
Well, I mean, you just got to look at the ingredients. I mean, granola was thought to be like the natural sort of cereal, but I mean, if you look at it, it's sugar, and it has canola oil in there, cheap oil, safflower
But if you
oil.
buy the really, really high-end
all
one, they make it
natural.
You
with
can-
coconut oil.
Yes, okay, you can find like higher end cereals, like Ezekiel cereal is okay. It's not gluten free, but it's the grains that have been sprouted and then baked, so it's not
Is
it's
that
not
what we had for
flour.
breakfast one morning?
What you really want to do is just
Great
avoid. You want to avoid cereals, of course, that have processed sugar. You know, keep your sweet tooth happy in the morning with some fruit, or put some honey over your whatever. You know, in moderation. So avoid things with sugar, and wheat flour. It's in everything. And then oils. Avoid cereals and granolas with oils that would have canola and safflower oil. Those are the 3 things to avoid in your morning. Hi.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
Kirsten.
All right. Have a nice massage.
Fun.
Carry on, Billy.
All right.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome. Yeah,
Thank
it's been
you.
fun. I feel we really covered a lot. So
Yeah, I know.
it's good.
Thank you very
We
much.
The
packed
thing
it
is,
in.
this is all completely new information to me. I mean, a lot of
Uh-huh.
it is just the opposite of what
I know.
we're hearing and what
Right.
we've been hearing.
I know. See,
Veal
it's
and
tough
pork
because
and
we're having to
meats.
break the big hypnotic spell that you need to go low fat and have a multivitamin silver bullet, and
Yeah.
it's just, you know, we're still having to break it, and it's being done, fortunately. But
And the stuff about the oils and that we should use butter. I mean,
yeah,
this is a lovely piece of information.
I know,
I
for me
want
too.
to use butter.
yeah. I mean, people's ears always perk up when I say butter, and why would people instinctively like butter? A little bit of saturated fat has always been in our diet, and I consider, again, remember that we have to have some saturated fat. It's a brain food.
Right,
That when we went low saturated fat, everybody got tired and cranky.
right.
And you got to go for the elite saturated fats. So I consider butter to be at the very top of the totem pole with ghee, coconut, and macadamia nuts, and
I love macadamia.
yeah. And so and now you have the other
So yummy.
you have the other category of saturated fat, which would be the other category of saturated fat is animal protein, and that you do need to cut back on. You know, if you have animal protein in your diet, elite, lean, less of
Yeah.
it.
Grass fed.
Oh, sorry. Is this meat now that we're talking about?
Yes.
Animal protein.
So grass-fed,
Wild.
massaged cow from Japan.
Yeah.
I wish I had a good answer about beef. I really just don't feel it fits in the human diet very well. You can do it.
How about lamb?
It's protein, but it's a kind of food that digested in the body, stuff just kind of builds up. Metabolic waste. It's unfortunate. Like fish protein digests really well. Egg protein,
I can't digest
great.
fish to save my life.
Okay.
I have
Well,
a fish,
see.
it sits in my stomach like it's 10
So
pounds brick.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. 'Cause again, you know what?
You're
I'm glad
German.
you said
You need
something
bison.
because these are not strict laws. Every body type is different, so we have to just consider that all of these points we don't want to necessarily be stringent with.
Didn't you say
Have
you can't no meat but wild boar and things like that?
No, I said I don't like lamb so much, and I certainly don't like mutton.
I see. Yes, yes.
Anything
The
that's
game
really,
is-
really strong, although I don't mind a little wild boar, and I don't mind a little rabbit at or whatever, but I don't, it's not something I eat it once a year or twice a year in Germany, but otherwise there is a ton of chicken in our diet because, people think automatically of chicken and pork.
Yeah, see, I do put, with animal protein, I put beef, any kind of beef, and pork toward the bottom of the totem pole. The reason that people instinctively like them so much is because they're fatty. We're craving saturated fats. You keep your body's desire for saturated fats happy with the elite saturated fats, and then you're like, oh, okay, well, then you're not craving those. I mean, think about the beef and pork foods that we really, really like burgers. Mm-hmm. Ground beef is so high in saturated fat, it's crazy. Mm-hmm. And sausage and bacon, those are the foods that Americans really crave. And
So what's at the top of your list?
well,
Chicken? Is that what you're saying?
For animal
For
protein,
animal protein.
lean, elite, and just less of it. So I would say the best are, well, fish is kind of in a different category now because it's questionable as far as the purity. But I would say bison, elk, and venison.
Ostrich?
I don't know. Ostrich is out of my area of expertise, I wish I could say.
Tastes like beef, actually.
Bison,
Elk,
venison, and what?
And bison. They're lean and they're nutritive.
And okay, what about veal?
So
Well, it's
sad.
beef.
You can get
So
a lean
sad.
cut of beef. I mean, you can get lean steak.
You
but
can, but what I just mentioned
them in
a
a
minute
box,
ago
they
is
don't
that
see
beef
sunlight,
doesn't
they're
digest that well.
Yeah.
I know
It's like
it,
the avocado.
that it just
food.
metabolic waste with beef can accumulate in the body. It's just the way it is.
Bad, guys.
And out of all the foods we have in our out of all the protein, animal protein is the hardest to digest. That's why if you have animal protein in your diet, save it for dinner. Protein ain't fuel; it's restorative.
Oh.
And that's why you have your highest dose of protein before you go to bed, when your body's doing its restoration. But it's protein, hard, like animal protein, it makes you tired. That's why people, when they have a chicken salad sandwich for lunch, it's a disaster. Save your protein for dinner if you have it in your diet. Yes.
But not eggs. Eggs are fine then.
Eggs are a very easy to digest protein. You can have it anytime.
That's so
Dairy, you can overdo it. Dairy, like a big serving of dairy, like a lot of milk in the morning, that dairy protein is also a little hard to digest. Not as hard to digest as meat.
What about shellfish?
I don't know. I wish I knew. I'm not a shellfish expert.
Got it.
Filters of the sea. That's what they call it. Everyone.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think? What's your...
I read somewhere, I don't know where, that it's just, it captures all the toxins in the sea. They're filters of the sea. That's what
Well, see, okay, I have heard that, I mean, general law of seafood in this day and age is avoid bottom feeders.
Right.
That's all I know.
Or fish that eat fish. Because that's double.
Yeah. Double
Right.
the amount.
So tuna.
Yep. I don't think,
Tuna's
I mean,
yes or tuna's
if you
no?
have it
Tuna's
at a
no.
restaurant
Tuna's
here
a
and there,
fish.
is it going to be a
Fish.
disaster?
High,
No.
fury.
Right.
But that was very educational.
Good.
Thank
Yeah.
You're
no,
welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So what kind of ice cream can I
I was
make? Sorry, I'm like candy,
Yogurt,
ice
frozen
cream,
yogurt.
things like that.
Yeah.
almond
Um,
milk ice cream.
Well,
I puree
good?
actually berries for my son in the morning with a bit of banana, and then when there's something left over, I put it into a popsicle form.
Oh, wow.
In the freezer. It's really
That's
delicious.
amazing.
Yeah, it's
Good for
really
you.
good.
Oats milk is easier to digest.
What people like about ice cream is that it's a combination of sweet and protein fat. Again, the body really likes that combination. So other examples would be dry fruit and nuts and seeds, apple and almond butter, banana split. Okay, maybe we're getting away from ourselves with banana split.
Yeah.
Sweet protein.
And smoothies and honey and yogurt. If you want ice cream, have honey and yogurt. That is brilliant. It is so nice
Frozen.
together. No.
Oh, in real.
No, but make sure it's whole yogurt. Whole yogurt, less of it. And that's why people are yearning for ice cream, is because ice cream, you're getting the cream in there, where everybody's just eating low-fat yogurt now, and so it just doesn't satisfy. You eat one of those low-fat yogurts, and you're like, man, did I eat anything? So
The low
it's a
fat
great
Greek
dessert.
yogurt is still quite. I mean, the 0% is still quite thick.
yeah, but it doesn't satisfy. I don't know, maybe it does. Every body type is different. If it makes you feel satisfied,
I
cool.
put nuts in it and fruit.
See,
and
nuts. Nuts are what
put
satisfy.
nuts and fruit and honey.
It's
in
the
it.
fats. It's the fats that
That's
satisfy.
the part that's satisfying you then, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you want ice cream? You want a dessert? Try this. Try this. Instead of ice cream, have whole yogurt and stir some honey in there. It is totally divine.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Just the two together. Just that alone. And there is actually some ice creams that you can get that are just in coconut milk. They use
Yes,
coconut.
they are coconut,
For
yeah.
boxed
Cocoa
milks
something.
instead of soy milk for
Yeah.
your son,
Yeah.
try coconut milk. Kids love coconut because it's saturated fat, where the most important thing for kids is saturated fat. They can't overdo it. The reason it's so important is because their brain is growing so fast. So coconut.
Coconut, okay.
Okay.
And then ice cream, it's a great creamer, and you can get this brand where it's sweetened with agave, which doesn't mean go crazy with it, but
Yeah, I saw it at the store.
it doesn't have just the same toxic effect that processed sugar does. Still, it's sugar, so it requires moderation, but it's that whole just fatty coconut that satisfies to help kind of prevent you from overdoing it.
You
Where
can
if
make
you
your own ice cream with coconut milk, I guess. If you just stick
You
it
could.
in a popsicle holder.
yeah, sure. It's a good idea, but it's not like ice cream, because for it to be like ice cream and creamy, they have to kind of like churn it.
Yeah.
You know, have you ever seen an ice cream maker?
Yes.
Yeah. So I got one.
How about
Yeah.
goat's milk?
I
Is
don't
it
know.
easier to
It seems
digest?
for some people it seems to be. I don't know though. I'm not an expert on goat milk, so I can't really say. But yeah, I mean, I've heard that. Like my sister, that's all she gets for her
Like
son
goat milk, yogurt,
and
or
husband. Yeah, they just use goat products.
Wow.
So
But they have some really good goat's milk yogurt now.
I know, but it's just I can still taste it.
yeah, I
It's
don't
just a
use
cheap
it.
side.
I'm not
Yeah,
such a
you don't
fan.
make any,
Now, you mentioned almonds, of course, are fabulous, and macadamias. What other nuts do you like?
Walnuts, right?
Walnuts are cool.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of walnuts. Let's see. What are some other good ones?
How about
Well,
Brazilian nuts? Don't they have magnesium, manganese?
selenium. Yep. Vanilla nuts, selenium. I'm a huge fan of flax seeds and chia seeds. Those are the best. Out of all the nuts and seeds, chia and flax. Those are the bomb. Not only are they amazing sources of essential fatty acids, which people need as an alternative to fish, but the best property is for just their gastrointestinal lubricants. Like if you ever have you ever had chia seeds?
No.
Okay, flax seeds. Those are more common in walnuts.
Yes, I have.
Yeah,
So, and we have them in your green drink. What you do is you go to the store, you buy the dry flax seeds, you put just a round tablespoon in a glass, and put like this much water in it, and in a few hours it is going to be like gel.
Oh, yeah.
It soaks up all the water, and it
Yeah.
just becomes like this slimy gel. Just drink it and kind of chew it up, and it's the best.
It's like psyllium husk.
It really helps you stay regular. So
Colon
not only are you
cleanser.
getting
They
essential
regulate
fatty
food
acids,
for
it's a
digestion.
nutritive food, but do that in the morning and or evening if things just don't move that well for you, and you need to kind of like lube up the gastrointestinal system. That stuff's
I
the
have
bomb.
psyllium
That is
husk. It's awesome.
Oh, see, psyllium husk can,
Okay.
if you overdo it, can be constipating. Actually,
Oh,
it's fiber. It's fiber, but you have to. You can overdo it.
So chia and flax.
The advantage of chia and flax is it's the fiber plus slippery.
Press what?
Plus slippery. If
Oh.
you, I mean, it's like
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's the
it's
flax
gelatinous.
seeds that you put in the water.
yes.
That's what you just said, flax seeds.
So if
Okay.
you just put a round tablespoon in your glass, put this much water in there,
Right.
it's all absorbed and it's just like goo. It's like slime.
What about
taste
sunflower
disgusting?
seeds? Are they
It doesn't
good?
taste disgusting. What?
Sunflower seeds.
They're okay.
Oh, yeah.
They're not amazingly. Okay, flax oil's cool.
Right.
Flax oil's. I used to be all about flax oil, and it's just like, you know, it's you get essential fatty acids from nuts and seeds, and
What about if you're drinking, say I go to decaf completely for coffee?
you have to be careful because most decaffeinated coffees are actually only 50% decaffeinated, and they use extracts. They use chemicals that aren't so great. What chemicals? I can't say because that's not my area of expertise. But exactly, you can get water extracted, caffeine free, where they just use water, and so it will be caffeine free. So what you could do if you want to cut back on your caffeine is kind of do part one, part the other. But I'll tell you, you know what? It's really worth just trying after you go home. Try going with just tea for the first week and see what happens. Your tolerance is going to be very sensitive because it kind of resets after a week. You're not going to need caffeine in the morning. Come Friday, you're going to be like, ding, you won't need it. And if you go to Starbucks, you're going to feel like you are just, yeah, you're going to feel like anxious and you won't feel good. I promise.
Even decaf.
Well, their decaf is only 50% decaffeinated, and it's kind of toxic.
Yeah,
So,
chemicals to get out.
but just try this as an experiment.
maybe
So
you'll see.
a one cup of coffee is 100 milligrams of caffeine. Starbucks is a lot more, so your tolerance is probably higher. But try when you go back to just have 2 black tea bags, which is about 120 milligrams of caffeine. And you don't really want to do too much more than that, because if you do much more than 120 milligrams of caffeine, energy's going to be doing this too much. I have 2 tea bags in the morning, and I'm like, woohoo! And so you just want to then have it with something to make it satisfying. You can use a creamer like half and half. Put some honey in there. Put some coconut sugar in there. I'm all about chai in the morning. I make my.
Caffeine and alcohol.
Chai is
are hard on
okay
your
to have a
kidneys
chai bag?
and liver. And your kidneys and liver are the first things to throw out waste and fat from your body, I think. So if you get those obstacles out of their way and treat them well, then you're good.
Yeah, you have to be sensitive with caffeine. See, it's really gotten away from us. A little bit of caffeine from tea, not a big deal. But people who are having these tall lattes and these monster drinks are such a disaster, where they're like 200 milligrams of caffeine. That is so much wear and tear on the body, and I don't think that the human body is going to sustain doing those drinks too much longer. It's amazing. It's amazing how people do that.
I've got to go home and clean out all of my kitchen cupboards.
That's a really good thing to
That's
do.
what I've been told you not to do.
I'm throwing away my roast.
Thank you so much.
You're
That was very
welcome.
interesting.
You're welcome. Good.
Thank you. That was very
Yes.
informative.
Yes, this was fun. I feel like we covered everything I wanted to.